Climate change is real. Sea levels are rising and oceans are becoming warmer, posing a fundamental threat to our planet. To address this threat, Worldwide Fund for Nature organizes Earth Hour every year on March 26th, which is a global grassroots movement uniting people to take action on environmental issues. Hello, I'm Subhashish Datta, Deputy Editor with Jagran Media, and today we have with us celebrated music composer Shantanu Moitra, who is also WWF India's Hope and Harmony Ambassador. Hello, sir. Welcome to the show.
Namaskar.
In this session, we will discuss the significance of Earth Hour in saving our environment. Sir, my first question to you is, what according to you is the biggest threat to our environment today and how can we overcome it?
I think the biggest threat to our environment today is that we, as a species called Homo sapiens, believe we are the only one who exists on this planet. Nobody else does. I think this information that we have wrongly understood from childhood is the biggest threat to the entire conservation program. Because I travel a lot. I do a lot of traveling to places where generally people don't go. And I have seen with my own eyes the situation. One small example I'll tell you right now. I was doing just a journey down the Ganga on my bicycle. For that, I had gone to Gomukh. And just 5 years back, my guide had gone with Gomukh. And the place where Gomukh was, where the glacier is, the snout, he had that positioning on the GPS. And when we reached here, he realized that we had to walk for another half an hour to reach what he thought was going to be the starting of the glacier. And so as we speak, it's receding and it's receding at an alarming pace. क्या होता है कि यहाँ बैठ के शहर में when we are sitting down, there are movies, there are restaurants, people are coming home. In that, when somebody is talking about climate change, तो ठीक है यार, is another issue, another mudda, okay. But once you go there and it's right there in front of you, what's happening, it just kind of shakes you up, and that's what's happened to me. And I think that is the biggest threat, that we don't realize that we coexist with other species.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned a very important, you actually mentioned a very important experience. I would just ask you, what would it take to get everybody's attention on this issue? I mean, we just said that, we don't realize. So what would it take?
I hope it does not take to what I believe it should take. I always believe that any kind of setback historically in the civilization, we have realized and we have learned from a mistake. Not fully, but so I just shudder the fact that when we think of we read in the newspaper कि महाराष्ट्र के किसी गांव में पानी का एक shortage चल रहा है, तो कितना हमें समझ आता है, I don't know. But if the same thing happens for 5 days in a city like Mumbai, just 5 days, I think we'll understand what this crisis is all about. I think what will take is that crisis needs to hit us. We need to be part of that crisis. Only then we will understand what's happening. Otherwise, it's very, very difficult.
As we know, and you just said that you have traveled a lot, and you have also traveled across the Himalayas, learning about people, their cultures, their selfless devotion towards Mother Nature. I would request you to share some of your experiences.
I think the biggest thing I've learned from them, that they are very, very clear that they cannot survive without holding each other's hand. I'm acutely aware that we may have a feeling sitting in the cities that we may survive without holding anybody's hand. They have no illusion. I'll give you a small example of coexistence, which is basically there's in Himachal, there's a nondescript village. There's a canyon and a gorge which is 150 meters. तो आपको इस तरफ से उधर का गांव दिखता है बिल्कुल. And what is 150 meters? It is nothing. But वहां तक ब्रिज नहीं बना. 2 बार ब्रिज बना है. Twice it happened, and because of landslides and a very shaky earth situation out there. It's crumbled down.
Mhm.
Now to walk this on the road, they have to deviate for 7 kilometers. And in a mountain, 7 kilometers is a lot. कि आपको सामने दिख रहा है कि यहाँ पे जा सकते हो, पर आप ऐसे जा रहे हो. So what they've done is they've done an amazing pulley system, simple pulley system, where on a cage, and I've been on that pulley, and it's scary because you suddenly are, the wind kind of moves you. But उस pulley के अंदर, उस खांचे के अंदर, you are there, 2-3 goats are there, there is an almirah there. Everything coexists in that cage to go across to that other side. Now, what is important is somebody has to pull it. And once it reaches that side, from here, somebody has to pull it. Now, who will that somebody be? That somebody is always chosen from the village. 2 people, one on this side, one on the other side. And because the entire day he will be doing this, not only the village provides the food for that person, whatever he would have been earning from his kheti, the village compensates for it. If this is not a bigger example of coexistence and how to deal with nature, I don't think what will be how they all come together and help out each other. Otherwise, that's important. So I think there are a lot of lessons to be learned from small town India and village India. But more importantly, sitting in our air-conditioned apartments, we will not ever have an idea what is it like to stay in a house which trembles. What is it to stay in a kitchen where the vessels are rattling, the children are doing homework, and suddenly the mud falls. It's because some tectonic movement is happening somewhere near. That's how fragile the earth is, and you can see it. I don't think so. It's very difficult to realize, and that's where people like me, WWF India, all the ambassadors, and all of you journalists, our point is to artistically, through entertainment, dramatically, however it takes, to put inside the human mind that I think we are in a very, very fragile moment, and we need to do now. We need to do things now. It's not about tomorrow. Yeah, abhi karna hai. Action abhi ka
hai. Moving on, I mean, Earth Hour, is one such movement which is, making people aware that yes, we are dealing with a serious problem. So, what would you like to say about this movement?
I think because I'm from the world of movies, and so I realize the power of symbols. We understand symbols, be it a Gandhiji ka charkha, or be it Sachin Tendulkar's cap. They all tell stories. And I think the Earth Hour tells the story. The whole act of shutting off the lights is, many people may argue ki kya matlab hai iska. But what happens is that any symbolism, and especially I think the kids in school, remember they are the guys who have been, whatever reduction of firecrackers in a country has happened is from these kids telling the parents not to buy firecrackers. And if I may say, fizz cold drinks have been completely kind of wiped out from this country, primarily because children are saying that it's not a good thing. So we understand the power of these children, power of these youth to be as influencers. Therefore, a symbol like Earth Hour becomes extremely important for the child, where they realize that we are doing this. This 1 hour हम घर में candle जला के इसलिए बैठे हैं, because I think we are in a crisis and it's important to do things now. I think this message is good enough as a global symbol that, and it is not just India में हो रहा है या हमारे neighboring countries में नहीं हो रहा है या US में नहीं हो रहा है. ये the entire world, if ever, anything can ever unite this world, it is global crisis, environment crisis. That's it. There's no other thing which unites this world together. It's this crisis. And I think that's why the Earth is a very, very important symbol.
True. And, in this pandemic situation, more than anything else, the COVID pandemic, has been a wake-up call for all of us to, protect our environment. Unless we do that, these pandemics will keep on reoccurring. So what's your take on this? I would just
Well, my take on this is that while yes, these are big lessons, COVID is, the human memory is very short. If it was extremely sharp, then there is no reason why there is war. We had a World War I, we had a World War II. Why do we need more wars? We have understood that war doesn't work. But it does, because our human memory is short. So similarly, I feel COVID has happened and we have realized a lot of stuff, but it'll take quickly. It's ultimately boils down to survival and my comfort level and me and I. That's how it works. And I think that is where we need to make people understand, again, through the forums like WWF India does, is basically, this is not just about me and I. We are interdependent. You may be absolutely lackadaisical and irresponsible about the water which comes to your house, but tomorrow if the water stops coming, you're jacked. Your neighbors are jacked. You can't even go somewhere and ask for water. There is no water there also. I think this realization makes it even more important that we live as a community, we think as a community. One thing COVID has done, and I must admit about it, is that this pause in life, this suddenly a thumb jana samay. And I think all of us have reevaluated what are we doing and what are we doing it for. I think that has helped. I know for sure many of my colleagues in the music industry in this COVID, for the first time in their lives, have done small things like feeding street dogs, feeding birds, just putting water outside their houses. They had time to think about them, because उन्होंने 2 दिन देखा होगा कि कोई कुत्ता घर के बाहर घूम रहा है, and they must have third day felt कि नहीं यार इसको तो उसको खाना चाहिए. This pause, because of which he noticed this dog, पहले was not there. We were running. उसने कभी देखा नहीं. शायद कुत्ता पहले भी आता था, पर अभी पहली बार उसको दिखा है. So I think we have been a little more aware and the word is sympathetic towards it. But I just hope there's a sustained work on issues like this and prioritized. In the sense, I wish out of 95% of information which moves around on the internet or on our mobile phones, I hope 5% is also dedicated to issues of conservation, and they should not be left to market forces. It should not show up only if people are talking about it, because quite possible that people are unaware of it till tomorrow suddenly realize that there is no water. So certain things cannot be left to market forces, and one of them which cannot be left is conservation and environment issues.
Yes, very well said, sir. Moving on, I mean, if we talk about India's perspective, we are a growing economy. So, many climate activists believe that economic growth is incompatible with sustainability. So, what's your opinion on this? We compare economic growth with sustainability. How far do you think, it is compatible?
I don't think so. A human being understands a word like not possible. We put man on moon. We went to the deepest part of the ocean. Incredible work is happening in the world of conservation all around, by nations which may not have half the GDP for our country. I think development is important, absolutely. But I think responsible development is even more important. And there is no reason why, if minds are put together, why technology cannot be worked to make sustainable, responsible development as part of our everyday life. See a simple thing like, I can say for Maharashtra, I don't know about other states. The fact is that, yes, I don't see people carrying plastics anymore to the shops. I've seen that it has taken time. But it is not that people have stopped buying. It is not that the trade has stopped. But suddenly a habitual, without thinking what we were doing, but sustained information bombardment from all over with policies has come to a situation where I have actually seen people carrying their own bags from home, which is any behavioral change in the human species is very tough to accomplish. But once you do that, it's remarkable once it happens. So I completely believe that responsible growth is absolutely doable. It can go hand in glove.
So we were actually discussing about global warming and why it's a very big issue, and you have experienced it firsthand.
Yeah, so I think I answered that saying that which is why I meant it's for real, and I basically ended up by saying that I hope we need a I was saying that in Apollo 14 the astronaut kind of looked back and he says in a very tongue-in-cheek manner कि यार मैंने तो वो अर्थ को देखा, छोटा सा था, मैंने उसके लेफ्ट में देखा, कोई और तो दिखा नहीं, उसके राइट में देखा, कोई और तो दिखा नहीं, मतलब कि हम ही है। तो हम ही अपने आप को बचा सकते हैं, बाकी तो दिखा दें, कोई बचाने वाला हमको। And I think that is one of the most important statements of conservation which has ever come out. That there is nobody else who can save us. It is just us. There's nobody out here in this cosmos, which known somebody who can actually help us. So the responsibility of us being part of something like global warming and stopping it now, the damage is already done, but to reduce it, it is, I think, ever more clear.
Yeah. So, in a nutshell, what message would you like to give to the international and national community on the importance of fighting climate change?
There are so many, but most important is, I think time is running out. When a child is growing, and I remember when a child is trying to ride his bicycle for the first time, I often know a lot of people who were busy in their corporate lives or whatever. They could not be part of the growth, and looking back, they said, shit, I wish I was part of that when he was trying to cycle. But he quickly grew up, and that phase went away. The climate crisis is even more quicker. If we don't pause and see it and decide to do something about it as a community, political boundaries goes, geographical lines goes, all together, it'll be a sad ending. And I think what happens is, maybe in my lifetime I will not see the ending, but we are not creating a better situation for our children, which is very, very sad. And I'm not even talking about the other species, which is, they are completely dependent on us, and that's the truth. I want to end this by saying that as I was trekking to Gomukh, just near Harshil, I encountered a brown bear, and my informed naturalist friends, especially Ritiman Mukherjee, with whom I had done 100 Days in Himalayas, he said that for years he has gone there, he's not seen a brown bear there. What the pandemic did was, because it reduced the human traffic, they felt safe to come down. The line where the animals come reduced. I've seen this with my own eyes, that 2 years of a little quietening, how it had changed the way the animals even were behaving. And I think that is it. And that the more we push them to the corner, the more we're creating problems for ourselves. At school level, again, this is something with WWF India, I know it does, but we and other such organizations, and of course journalists together, change cannot happen if it is not induced in school level. Yes. Fundamental truth of life is any change. That is the igniting mind. Abdul Kalam kept on saying that I don't care for anybody else. My target audience is these children. And that is the reason why this great scientist was doing that. He knew that is the most fertile mind, that is the most dynamic mind. And I believe conservation and issues needs to be dealt at school level. Otherwise, they will grow up to be absolutely non-interested in anything which happens outside their houses.
On similar lines, India, we have one of the world's youngest populations, and you said that how, children are important. So what would you appeal to the youth of today for protecting the environment?
I would say the youth is much smarter than what we were. They are smarter, of course. And I think they should now go out there and do things and not wait for approval from the elders. Because I don't think so we elders are very informed about all this. They have. I have traveled all over these places. I've always seen young people doing things. We just sit and criticize and cogitate and be cynical. And hamare time mein ye hota tha, we are talking a lot. These guys are doing. The youth of this country is doing a lot. And I just want to tell them that continue doing what you're doing. Don't look for approvals. Don't look for endorsements. Sometime the earth will salute you and say, hey, dude, thanks a lot.